I find it exciting when you can basically be the lead of your own program, your own life. What is the objective here? The quality of life. What is the quality of life? I watched a very powerful video last night, Patch Adams. I don't know, you've probably seen it with Robin Williams, where basically he goes into an institution trying to figure out who he is. And he's in a self-depression line connection of himself and realizing, wait a minute, why am I in here? What's the whole purpose of life? What does it all mean? So he comes to realize where he comes across somebody that is basically knows his equation when it comes into values of how to travel through 369. And this is, remember how you see the hand, but you don't see the hand, you look at me. Don't see the hand, look at me. And then you'll see basically not just 4, you'll see 8. And then it started clicking in for Robin Williams. And I realized, well, you know what I want to do is basically I want to help people. And then you realize, well, this is pretty much what saved him, right? And then he wanted to become a doctor. And then he realized, the best thing we look at is quality of life, giving back somebody their life when it comes into response. Response is everything. Reaction is everything to that connection. So it's powerful how we come into these times. So today I'd like to talk a little bit more about how we come into the meaning of life. What is the purpose of being born? That kind of thing, Then you understand these things because it all starts with the higher self, right? The high self, the higher self, you can call it whatever you want. But the whole purpose of you is to understand your reality. Okay. And I've also want to do is basically anybody want to come to me personally, let me know. We can set up programs weekly. It's important that you understand what's happening with you and your transition, your transactions, your metamorphosing, your mutations, or anything through manifestation. It's important that you understand what's going on with your change. This is a major, major change for humanity, and it's a major, major change for you. So it's all about us understanding each other more when we come into the meaning of life for the very first time. Knowing that what you've lived is not what you are. And that's hard to figure these things out because it's important you get into these positions of time. Because if you get into this and you understand more how it comes into 3 stages, right, which is the seed, and you come into the connections, and then you come into the higher self. So there's 3 levels you have to reach. And this is all the process, how we come into the tree of life. It's mostly important to understand these things, not just the past of you, but understanding the reality of you and what is the purpose of being on this position on this earth. And once you find out its reality, then things start working out a little bit more. Okay. So before I get started, thank all subscribers and viewers that want to watch what's going on through connections. I watched the actual video, Tomorrow War, and there's a lot of things that are mishapped about that, a lot of miscommunication. This is about a guy, basically he's a biological teacher, and he comes across where basically they're drafted right into the future. And he's also, did tour as a military soldier. So he's about to leave his daughter, which is probably 9 or 10 years old. And it's all about him going into the future and basically trying to save humanity, not realizing he comes across his daughter, which is now basically 25, 30 years old, and she's commanding the force. So it's mostly about him recollecting from his connections of what's happening with his daughter, how he reminisces back, how much he misses his daughter and what he's missed all these years. There is a lot going on there. There's a lot of, it's like Aliens with the first one with Sigourney Weaver, and which was very powerful. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, there's a lot of things that are mishap and the communications, and there's a lot of things that were really, I don't know, it was interesting to say the fact that Chris Pratt did a pretty good job, but there's a lot of things that we have to understand. And this is all based on our survival. And it's all about human survival, and it's all about the transformation of survival. It's all about the mutation. It's all about the meditation, how we get into the birthing system meditation, and how we really try to understand each other more. I think that's what we have to get across. What is the quality of life with you? What makes you happy? What makes you give passion? What gives you compassion to each other? So these are the things we have to look at, because it's important to understand these things. Okay. And also too, I put a new platform on my my YouTube, where I follow up of who I am, right? You see the introduction of Space Discoveries 2. Well, down below, you'll see the school and where it's connected to. Mexican time, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's where I hold the videos 7 days a week, Monday to Sunday. So that information is there if you want to know the times on the school. Anything else, you can go through my email. Anything else you want to know, go through my healing. But I think it's important that we go through the process of, when you're waking up for the very first time. This is a continuous force. This is about understanding who you are, who you're becoming, and where do you go. That's the most that we have to get across here, because this is changing your life. And when it changes your life, you feel different. And you're not sure what is aware anymore. You're not sure of the reality you're in. You're not sure about your dreams anymore. You're not sure about your job anymore. You're not sure about relationship anymore. You're not sure of you anymore. So it's waking you up in so many ways and forms. It's changing your program setting. It's repositioning your lines. It's changing your activation light conditions, and you're coming into your higher self conditions. Last night, basically, I was on the Celestial Channel, and I was going through a meeting, and we were talking about that very thing, about, get them into communications more, about the higher self and what it is. So I'm going to go back to the basics. I think it's important you understand these things. This is not a one-day process. This is a whole new process. Sometimes people are clicking in right away, and some people aren't. So basically, if you need help, now's the time, to understand. If you can go to my email, we can go one-on-one. We can go through the Zoom. We can go through connections. I really want you guys to understand how powerful you are. So it's important that we understand each other of what's going on with this transformation. Okay? These are the things you have to look at. This is the most important thing, because you got to face the fact that I went through the same thing. You're going through the same thing, but I just adapt quicker of understanding, because I was paying attention. And there's nothing wrong with not paying attention, because what are you paying attention to? Your whole reality is switched. So you're thinking, okay, wait a minute. Now I'm really confused, because I've been healing people in Mexico, and they say, I'm asking them, daily, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Well, I'm hearing voices now. I'm seeing ghosts and all this stuff. And they say, well, is that normal? As yes, it is, because your third eye is open. When you open your third eye, you're coming into dimensional time. And that dimensional time is its intelligence. And that's why it's extremely powerful, because you're not aware of these things. You're no longer in the physical system. You're in the spiritual of its connections. So it's really hard to communicate with these things, because now you've crossed over. It's going past the 99.9% and coming into that 1% of its human. That is a major, major switch. So you're jumping over, you're vortexing, you're time leaping, you're time jumping. And when you go to the other side, everything changes, right? Your transformation, mutations, and everything through manifestations are changing. Your whole body is adapting to another reality of its connection. You're coming into a virtual reality of a new understanding. Okay. So like I said, it's good to go back to the basics. I like to do this. I call it through reviews, especially if you have any questions or comments, right? Questions or comments is what gives you the answers within. So I think a lot of people are a little bit more confused, because they don't know where they are now. So they're totally lost, and there's nothing wrong with that. So basically, understanding what's going on with you, it's a process. It's a process, So the process basically is the transformation. Okay, it is the activation, and trying to understand how powerful you guys are when you understand more of yourself. Okay, especially with the test reviews and evaluations, where my Galactic Force team is basically in the 15 chakras, and my Rebellion Alliance and the Galactic Federation Light Councils are in higher levels of light of understanding. So everybody's in a different process when it comes into the DNA, understanding what is my DNA, why am I here, what's the purpose, what do I do next? Because you're totally confused. It's like being lost in the woods or you're put in space and okay, what happens now? You have no clue because your whole reality has switched dimensional of its connection, right? So it's all about understanding how to travel for the first time, how to really get into the dreams, how to really get in connections, and how to understand what you see through perception and what you hear through audio. Okay, so it's really incredible stuff because basically I'm not just seeing things in the mind anymore. They're coming to my place, and we're going through channel division locations, intertwined line connections, changing shapes, anomalies, and positions, set into the arc, which is very powerful. That's coming in right now. So there's a lot of things that are setting up in the process of space and time. So I notice too when I go on TikTok is that people worry not about themselves. They worry about everything else that doesn't have any idea with them. It doesn't affect them in any way, but they want to know why. That's I'm curious. Why do you want to know something that has nothing to do with you? With the solar flares, this has nothing to do with you. So point taken, you have to understand how powerful it is when you come into connections of space and time, because your job is to understand you. Your job is to understand your transformation. Your job is to understand your manifestations. Your job is to understand your activations. Your job is to understand your lights, communications, and everything to its intelligence about its communication. These are the things you have to look at. And again, I like to go through a review because it's important you guys understand yourself of what's going on with you. Okay? That's the whole process here. It's the whole process. Because if you don't know what's happening, there's a problem. There's a huge, huge problem. And the ego always finds a way to get in that system. So if the ego's in the spiritual system, now you're really, really, you got to work at these things. It's all about balancing your left and right hemispheres. Too much on the left, too much on the right, not enough in the center. So you're like this, you're rocking the boat. It's like this, going back and forth, right? Do you want to keep rocking the boat and get sick? Or you want to find a way to balance out the water and its countermeasures? So that's how you have to look at things, and you have to go with the flow with life. Like go with the flow with the transmission. If you don't understand something, that's fine. You can come to me. We can set up connections where try to understand what's happening with you through your transformations. It's important you understand what's going on with your program. Okay. These are the things we have to look at because you're coming into space and time for the very first time. Okay. How to understand the space inside you, because a lot of people don't really know how to communicate inside. That's the answer. Right. And like I said, if you keep going to other people, what are you doing? You're putting yourself in their objective, you're putting yourself in their quality of life. So you're going into their disruption of their channels, line systems, and you're not really understanding your positions anymore because you're focusing too much on them and not enough on you. Okay. So when you come across these stations or anything like that and you don't resonate with it, don't. Okay. Especially with your intelligence, because when you come into your intelligence of a birthing system of light, you're seeing everything through perception of its intelligence, which is your higher self. So, and then you come into the superconscious, and then you come into, superhuman. Once you come into superhuman, you come into more connections. You get into the galactic connections and say, okay, this is what's going on, spinning in space, dimension, time connections. So, because people are coming to me now, is that they're healed, but they're not understanding what's going on with their travels. So a lot of people have vortexing. I got spin rotation cycles. I just vortex line connections. So they understand what they're saying, but they have no idea how to fix it. So this is where we have to understand more of ourselves when it comes into travel. Because when you come into your light through the birthing system, through me, you're actually connecting to space now. And space has to understand you through identification when it comes into codes, to your holograms and lights and activation colors. Because now you're connected more to the sun, the moon, and everything through its navigation. The navigation is about you going forward in life and understanding the quality of life. What does it mean to you? It's all about giving back. It's all about finding your passion to compassion and finding what fits in your life to its balanced location, to its heart. The heart is the most powerful thing. It is the awakening of its ascension, but we're not in the ascension anymore. Okay. This is about high rising positions of what's going on, especially with the higher intelligence, Galactic Federation Light, Rebellion Alliance, the Guardians of the Galaxy, all that connections. Like I said, we have 1 or 2 months council in the celestial. which is very powerful. So that's in the angelics. So we talk about these things, and it's pretty real. It's like sitting down at the table and eating with your family, talking about your day, right? Well, that's what I do in space, the connections. So the more you go in the mind, the more everything makes sense. But the more you go in the mind, it gets more complicated. So it becomes more power and responsibility, and then you find out who you are. So that alone is responsibility. You have your own power and responsibility to yourself. Okay. And this is the quality you have to look inside you. How much are you worth? Okay. So basically, put yourself in that position where you can protect yourself through your lights. This is the most important to understand. Okay. So this is coming from your first commander when it comes more into the heart. I really want you guys to understand when you're going through the healing. Okay. We're all here to help each other. And it's about understanding what we're doing through the mind telepathy and how we communicate and how the school is rising faster and faster and faster and faster. So the more we get back, when it comes to TikTok, it's incredible because people are waking up more and more. But now when they're waking up, they have no clue what's going on. So that's what I'm saying. It's all about the quality of life. It's all about giving back. So you find out what you compassion, what passions you, what do you love, and then you can trust that inside. Trust yourself inside, okay? And then you can trust yourself outside, and that's the balance. So you have balance with the physical system, which is the outer skirt. You have to go into the inner system and understand the balance of its position of time location. So once you have that connections to the physical and the spiritual, you won't be rocking the boat anymore through positions of space and time connection, okay? So this is understanding what the transformation is, because you're waking up to a whole new veil. So you're taking off the blinds and you're opening up the ears and you're coming more into the command of you. That's the trust factor. How much do you trust yourself? That's how we have to look at it. A lot of people don't know how to trust the loyalty of themselves. Everything that you want, you can get within inside. So you have to understand your intelligence only goes inside. It doesn't go outside. It goes inside and then it comes outside. That's the balance. And I keep saying that balance, 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 balance is everything. You have to countermeasure every single day because you're always going to be fighting the ego every single day, especially when you come into the light. So every time you're going through a transformation, this is a long process. I've been doing this almost 3 years now. So I just seem to go up higher and higher, faster and faster because I'm more in the mind. So I understand it a lot more. See, you have to let go the physical of the brain. The brain's always there. The brain doesn't leave. It has to stay there because that's the navigation. But you have to understand when you come into the mind, you come into the full spiritual line connection of you. That's the trust factor. That's the quality of life. So this is how you get things to manifestation. You don't get things for manifestation by just thinking of yourself. You're not connecting with the universe. You're not connecting with anything. You're only connecting with yourself, right? That's the egotistical. Now, these are the things that are hard to comprehend because what reality am I in? Am I still in my physical system, but I feel awake, but I'm not meditating, but I have been meditating 5-6 days a week. So you're answering back. I did a very powerful video when it's going like this, and it's like, so you have to understand what's going on, right? With the cycles of you inside. And it all has to do with electrical lights, the wires, the provision, the activations, the panels, your paradigms, your parallels, especially a paradox. You don't want to get into a paradox because if you get into a paradox, now you're in 2 different realities. You can be 3 or 4 different realities of time, space. It's all connected on what you want through manifestations through your thoughts. But the thing that you have to look at every single day you wake up, you're going through a transformation of change. That's all it is. You just have to understand what the change is and why is it happening to me. And then you stop questioning yourself inside, and then you trust everything inside. So it took me a while to understand it because I first started questioning myself. Is this real? What is real? What is going on? I hear this voice. What's going on there? What's going on there? What's going on? I'm seeing this. I'm seeing that. So I'm trying to balance everything that's going on, right? So the brain stays in position, but the brain has to understand the mind of its conception. It has to understand the space and travel of its dimensional time. Because now your first commander is now in traction locations of 11 in positions. 11,000 positions and line connections. This is crazy what's going on with me right now. So it's a new program setting. Okay, because I understand more of myself through the mind. I'm so far way beyond the mind, it's astronomical. But see, the thing is, I have to balance these things out, just like you have to balance your life. I have to balance my life. So balance is, again, everything when it comes to countermeasure. You're countermeasuring your space and time anomalies when you come into your fear cycles. You live the fear every day, but what are you living? Are you living in compassion and passion? Are you coming into the disloyal of yourself? Why? Why'd you do this to that person? Why'd you do that to that person? So it's karma reaches karma, right? So you get out of the racism. Okay, that's what we have to look at. You get out of the separation and you come back into division and you help people, help people, help people. That's the point we have to get across here. We have to channel divisions and we have to come together as a unity of consciousness and give back. Okay, once we give back, everything falls into place because that energy grid has to be fired and it has to go back in the circle so we can set up the rotation to its arc and come into the gardens and eat right through the light positions. So these are the things that have to be done. And the more we wake up humanity, as long as humanity understands that there's a major change happening inside them, it has nothing to do with what's outside. It's the inside of you. You don't need to know things outside. You just have to know who you are inside. Let me say that again. You have to know who you are inside, and then you know everything outside. Okay? That's what I'm trying to get across here. Okay? So it's amazing how I do this, right? Remember, we're doing the finger points yesterday, which was very powerful. But it all connects through balance. 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 See how it's the same? See how it's the same? It's balance, guys. It's balance with the right. It's balance with the left of the hemispheres of time, of space. Space of time, time of space, doesn't matter. It line signals. Okay? So I say space and time doesn't matter because it balances out. Okay? Because I know where I'm traveling, because that's where I travel every day is space and time to all dimensions of all time. That's how powerful it is when you travel. So you have to travel through your manifestations of your creations, through your imaginations and what you want. What do you want? Ask yourself, what do you want? And you communicate inside. Trust that value, everything that you want. Okay. Now, Bob Proctor, I did a one on TikTok where he said you have to believe. Believe is everything. Believing is seeing. And then the seeing, what does it become? It's manifestation because you've already created it. So if you already created it, that means you already created it like 3 or 4 days ago. And you realize, wow, I'm traveling really fast now. Okay. And then it's like it's saying I'm drawing something out and I say, ooh, that's interesting. Commander just drew that. I knew that before. So now you're connecting a lot faster. So you're trusting your values, you're going into your royalties. You have to understand that you are a gem. You are a pyramid. You're an activation light. You're a protection to yourself, right? So you have to value these things inside, okay, which is you. Okay. So the more you get into the trust factors and how powerful you are, that's where all the communication comes within. But you have to understand what's going on with your change. Your body's changing every day. And if you're not aware of these things and you're in your light, that's the problem. So we have to work these things out. Some people understand it and some people don't. So we all have to get together and find a way where we can get into a circle of life, of understanding. I think that's the most important thing we have to look at, right? Standing in the center and holding hands, right? Singing songs, So, that's what life is all about. Okay, that's all about everything coming back into the purity of you. You come into your divine, of your interventions. Everybody's an intervention of themselves. Okay, I'm not talking about people coming to you and having an intervention of a family. I'm talking about you or your own family inside. That's the balance. That's the communication. That's how you balance everything through intelligence. That's how you balance everything through your job or whatever you're doing. Now, whatever you're doing, don't get confused with the consumption that you're living that physical element for the rest of your life. So if you're living it for the rest of your life, you're only thinking of one side, but you're not thinking of the spiritual side. People don't know how to connect to the spiritual side, and that's the camaraderie and all that positions, right? So if you put yourself in that position of time, of space, you will do exceptionally, exceptionally well, knowing you have that integration together, right? Not separated, together. Okay. And then we get into the full rotation of the heart cycle, heart system, heart activation, heart lights, right? The program setting through its computer operating line connections. It's now in channel location of you, right? So it's understanding your programs and your manifestations and your change and you helping out. When you help out, that's how you get things back, because the operation sees that, right? So it's always about understanding when you're up against something, you're never ever alone. There's always somebody watching. And this is the things that we look at, right? So if you think you're alone, you have no reason to, okay? Because everything you want to channel is inside you. So, and that's where you get the answers, right? And there's a lot of people that are, it's the quiet ones that we have to be aware of, either the smart ones in that way, or they basically have totally lost themselves. They lost their pride. They lost the love about themselves. They don't know who they are. Well, we're here to help everybody put them in back of who they are. So they go through this change, but it's not just one process. It's an ongoing process. Okay. So it's like looking at the road. And what do you see ahead? What do you see ahead? What do you see? What do you see? You see yourself what? Doing what? What do you see yourself doing? So you have to manifest this. No, you're going straight ahead. And every time you look, going through these doors, you're going from one door to another door. You keep opening the doors. You're getting what you want because it's already created. Right? Some people have a hard time processing this because it comes to the mind. It's the school sets. It's the tools that you use to go forward with your thoughts of space and time. So if you're manifesting these things already, it's already created. There's no more worry, no more stress, no more fear, because everything is balanced now through countermeasure, right? So if you question these things and you go like this, I'm looking straight ahead, but I got this road and I got this road. I can't go back. Why go back? You can reflect. I'm reflecting to the past. This is the past. But I don't want to go this way, right? So the thing is, should I go forward or should I go side to side? Which road am I going to take? So this is what you got to look at. Now, if I go straight, is it any difference than me going left and right? Okay, no. Okay, except going back, right? Back doesn't go anywhere. There's a wall. You have to go forward, right? So this is the way you have to use the psychosis of the psychological view. You have to put yourself going forward, right? So you got three ways of going forward. And that's connection 2. It's pyramid. It's triangle. So it's not a diamond position because it's a past position. So in that connection, just look at your life as a road going forward, right? So in the whole psychological system of you through calculation, we'll understand more of you through position of time. Okay, so we got this road, right? You come into this modification, this road here, 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 and this road here. Okay, so there's the road, right? You are in the center position. Let's calculate modifications here. All right, that's you. And you're going like this. Right, it's a question mark. Which way are you going to go? Are you going to go this way or the other way? Which way are you going to go? You got to ask yourself these things, right? So when you put yourself in this position, you have to really understand these things because it's important, because it's all about your life, right? The quality of life, right? So when you get into that position of time, you get a little bit more of understanding how to go forward or go backwards. So I go straight. Do I go this way? Do I go this way? Okay. Or do I go back? Right? Our whole quality of life is all based on this 4-point corners, right? It's like cars trying to understand which way to turn, right? So this happens a lot. People don't use the brainwaves and they get into car accidents, right? So it's all about thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead of time. It's a 2 or 3 second rule. That's the first thing you learn when you're getting your car license, right? or basically never ever allow yourself to be boxed in when you're on a highway. You don't want to do that because you can't get around, right? Blind spots, especially when you got big diesel trucks, right? 18 wheelers. So never, ever, ever allow yourself to be boxed in. So you're always thinking 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 steps ahead every single time, right? When you're going through a graph of a road, right? So let's say you go forward, okay? You're going forward, right? So, you know, it looks good, right? And then you come across the distraction, right? What are you going to do? You're going to go forward, or you're going to go around and go again, right? So you got to find a way. What is the distraction? So you can move forward, right? Same thing when you turn here. Now you're going this way. You're always going to find stepping stones. You're always going to find blocks. You have to find a way to get past it. So either if you go forward, you know, forward in a sense where it's metamorphically saying that, okay, the road graph is 4 division time positions. Which one do I go? Forward or I go side? You can't go back. Back is nowhere. That's just a reflection. If you go back, you're changing your time positions, right? So you're offsetting. You're going off the grid. If you go off the grid, it's hard to get back on, right? So this is how you have to look at the quality of life. So it's all about going forward, right? Forward is this way, forward is that way. So if you go this way, it doesn't matter. You're always going to come across different people. You're always going to come across stepping stones. There's always going to be connections to detours, but it's all about educating yourself, right? So if you're going forward and you're coming out so many distractions like this, like this, like this, and it's all over the place, what are you doing to yourself, right? So you have to understand that you'd rather have this than all this, right? And you figure, oh, wait a minute. No, I think I'll just go back. Maybe I'm not going to go forward. Maybe I'll go forward another way. I'll go this way. It doesn't matter as long as you don't go back. So maybe that'll help you out. Because when you get into that position, this is where you come into the connections of its diamond and its position of anything calculation, right? So once you realize that this is a diamond and you're not going past, you're going into the present location, it becomes a full diamond rotation to its connection, which is amazing, right? Because I was looking at life and I was saying, wait a minute, I want to be a diamond. I start off with the pyramid, but I want to start off with the diamond. Once the diamond comes in positions, you come into circle rotation and you energize your line connection position. You come into your own security line defense to its program setting, right? So this is truly understanding how we do these things in life, right? And it all has to do with the road. Which road do you want to take, right? As long as you don't go back. See, if you understand the reflection and you get rid of the past traumas, it comes into a diamond. If you don't let go of your past traumas, it's just a triangle. So you got left, right, and forward, right? So you're not connected to your northwest, south, and east yet. So you don't have any balance with that, right? That's what I was trying to understand. Which road do I take? Because I started off in Toronto. I'm just saying on the life process here, this is the education in the physical system. But the spiritual system knows what it's doing. It knows where to go. So it's all about understanding to put yourself in this position of time, knowing that you're going to be okay wherever you go. Because the physical system doesn't understand. It's only the spiritual understands the connection to going forward. The physical system is just basically living the education, living that job, living that person. But that's not who you are. To go forward in life, that's the intelligence. So if you get the integration of the physical and the spiritual, then you can follow up. You go left or right or straight, doesn't matter. Whatever you're creating, you're going to create, but it has to understand that it's already has been created. Then you understand everything through travel. So you can travel faster and faster and faster. And when you open up these portals and dimensions, you start seeing these things and more coming to light, everything through its quality is going to come into its quantity, right? So this is how you have to look at your life, right? Use your physical system, okay, as fuel. Use your spiritual system as communication. So if you do that, you can find a little bit more with the integration through its manifestation. Transmitting, receiving, anything that energy line connections Once you understand the energy goes into and you understand its intelligence is coming from your perceptions, it's coming from your audios, or it's coming from your command. So it's telling you actually to move forward, right? Concentrate on that, focus on that, really pay attention to the sounds. Now, if it's different sounds, it's different intelligence, right? So one particular sound, if it's your higher sound, higher self, that's you in balance. If you don't have balance, you have different intelligence. That's the confusion. So people go across that so many times. So, Commander, I don't know who I'm communicating with. Is that me or is it somebody else? I come across that all the time. It's getting the countermeasures of what you're doing with your life. The only way you can go forward is with your intelligence, especially when you're waking up and trying to understand what's going on. You're changing your diet. That's not your physical system. That's your intelligence, getting prepared on what to eat and what not to eat and what to be aware of so you can get into the conscious levels of bringing yourself forward to its focus. So when you're in that position of time, there's no more confusion at all. Okay, you got balance with the physical and you got balance with the intelligence. Like I said yesterday, go up higher, come back down. See? That's the connection. That's the countermeasure. So whatever road you take, once you have integration of your physical and your spiritual, you will be fine. You just have to allow yourself to see yourself going forward. Okay, either left or right, going straight. Okay, not going back. When you get rid of your past traumas, now you're coming into connections, right? You can only reflect in the past. You can't live the past because you change your timeline. And if you change your timeline, you're changing everything around you. And that's what I'm saying. If you go back in the past, not only you're changing your timeline, but you're going to come across people 5-10 years in the past will come back into the presence of your position. And these are the people that you don't want to reside with because you already said goodbye. But they only come back into your life if you decide to take the road going back. And it's very powerful how you do this through the mind because you're creating your own thoughts. And those thoughts have to go forward, not back. If you go back, you're changing your past and your timelines. So it's very powerful stuff. I had to do it. You have to do it because I've done that. I've walked the past. And I'll tell you how powerful it is. When you create past, okay, even though you're living the presence and you're still in the past, see, the thing is you're in the past alignment, but you're living the presence. So the intelligence turn is saying, okay, you want to live the past, that's fine. But I'm telling you right now, if you do that, you're changing timelines, and then you're going to bring old people back into your life. Do you want that? No. You want to go forward in life. You don't want to go back because back is just a reflection. So you have to let go of your past traumas because if you don't, you're going to have people come into your life that have been in the past, are going to be into your presence to its future. And now you're confusing all three timelines. And now it's very chaotic. And it happens. It happens. Not only you're confused now, totally, you don't know which path to walk anymore. Okay? So just want to give that to everybody, how powerful it is when you come into your own divine intervention of yourself. Which road are you going to take? Which path are you going to walk? Which journey are you going to go upon? Which adventure are you going to see? You want to invest yourself. You want to value yourself. You are a gem. You are a pyramid. You're an activation. You're a light. You're a protection. You're everything through the mastering of its condition. Inside. Right? That's the hardest thing, is to communicate with the inside system. Because what it does is it gets the balance inside you first, and then it reacts to the physical system. So the intelligence inside is basically saying, wake up. When you wake up, the physical is going, what? No, I don't want to wake up yet. I'm not ready. But the intelligence is saying, listen, you have to wake up. And it's going to go. So it's going to keep reacting and reacting and reacting to your body until you finally wake up. But the brain is just still asleep, and it's going, nah, 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 nah. So it's always going to set alarm, every single day. It's going to find a way to wake you up with space and time, or it's going to get another intelligence, or it's going to get communications. You're going to headaches, rotation, spin cycles. You're going to have migraines, sore graft positions, ear aches, eye flickers, heart palpitations, sores on your arms, your back, your knees, your feet, whatever. It's going to find a way to wake you up. You understand? That's what's happening right now with everybody. And you have to be prepared because now everything through the connection of the arc is coming in. Right? So when we do these things in space, it's already done because I've already traveled 5,000 years in the future. So everything that I've done doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But what matters is what's you. It's all about you. It's manifesting you, not me, you. Okay? How to bring yourself going forward, how to walk the path, right? How to get past these detours and go around and go straight. You can look back, but keep going straight. Okay? Because you get nothing going back. Nothing. Because I've done that. And I've experienced it. Because I've had people in my past come back at me. So it's like creeping up. Whoa, 5-10 years? You're coming back into my life? No! Back away, back away, back away. Oh, no way. I do not want that in my circle of present position. Because it screws up all your timelines of its future, of its relation. Now remember that. Listen to your commander because you have to understand how powerful you are, especially when you come into your own light, a division of time. You can change your own timelines now, especially the ones that are in 15 chakras, especially the ones in the Rebellion Alliance. They know better. They know better because the more you come into light, remember, I'm saying when you go farther into space and you use your thoughts of light and recognition of time positions, you can change your timelines and bring people back into your life of its present location. So these are the things that we have to look at. And it's important you understand what the higher self is to you. Okay. And if you understand that, okay, quitters never win and winners never quit. That's basically what it is. That's a boxing analogy. Just trying to tell you exactly what it goes by. If you quit in the game, you're separating yourself through intelligence. So if you quit, you go back into the past. If you give up, you go back in the past. But you go back in the past, but you're creating an anomaly of you into a circle rotation center, back into positions where everybody else that you know that's in the past is going to come into your presence of its future. And that's going to disrupt everything that you created through vibration. And those are also called psychic attacks. People that come into your life that you don't want. Be cautious on your thoughts and what you create. Be cautious in what you dream. Okay? Be cautious in what you wish for. All this comes into fruition. These are the things you have to pay attention to now. Okay? Because you're coming into your light. The galactic forces are going to higher rise level systems. You want to create the path of alignment? Go right ahead. But I guarantee you, people that you are in the past are going to come into your presence of its future. That's what happens because it happened to me. I said, no. You're not coming in my circle of life. I've seen you. I know you. I'm leaving you. Bye-bye, right? You're saying goodbye. So this is all about getting rid of past traumas, everything. This is going to help you go faster with transformation and manifestation. And that's why I'm giving you guys reviews and how powerful it is through a message. Everything you do is a message of understanding what is happening with you, of change, and how to understand which road do I take. Okay? It doesn't matter which road you take as long as you don't go back. That's all, because it's just a wall. What are you going to do? Open a wall? That's a portal? Yeah, you can do that. Sure, I'll go in the past, but you're bringing things back in. Okay, so that's how powerful the mind is, because you're bringing things back that you don't want and you can't understand why. That's the consumption of what's happening with anything through calculation. You're integrating positions of time that you don't want to involve yourself in. You don't want that in your alignment. You don't want that in your life, right? So let's just say you broke up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and all of a sudden, oh, wow, I made a mistake. I want them back. Uh-oh, what did I just do? I'm moving forward in life, and you just, a glitch. You did a glitch. You want somebody back. They will come back to you and try to take you back. And this is all done through energy. and say, wait a minute, I'm with somebody else now. I don't want you. Who do I go to? Do I go to the past of its relationship, or do I go to the future of its relationship? Which one do I go for? Now, this is where you have to central line the connections to get balanced with your panels, right? You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to rock the boat because you tip the boat. You all fall off. So you don't want to do that. Okay. So that's important. So anyway, let's get into your questions here. How's everybody doing so far? It's great to see everybody. Love life. Yep. Jennifer, how's it going? Diane, Isabel, look at the purple view. Oh, your window? Yeah. You're seeing that through perception yet. So you're seeing the sun rotation center. That's nice. This is what the first test is all about, right? Yep. Yeah. And Diane, it's important you understand these things because it's all positioned through you, through connection. So this is more about understanding when you come into transformation manifestation for the first time, you're coming into a major change of life of you. You have to understand how powerful you are through your thoughts because that's how everything is created in space and time. So whatever you create, you can destroy. Whatever you want, you can have. Okay, and you can also realize that I've already have it. I'm just waiting. This is the understanding how you can understand these things. Or you can take things and get it back into the past, to its present, to its future, which you don't want because it confuses your positions with its future relations of manifestations. Okay, so a tree moving energy, yeah, clearing, yeah. See, it's going in and out position, yeah. Emily, how's it going? Ego is working with me, and your life will be smoother. Yep. I need to figure out my passion. I lost my passion, but you can get that back. Yeah, just don't go back. You can go this way or straight. So it's true that you're standing in the 3, 6, and 9, right? Oh, wait a minute, the 3, 6, and 9. That's the road, right? It's not a diamond until you let go of your past traumas, and then you come into your tesseracts and then your tetrahedrons. Okay. So think of like when I do illustrations and I do this, you have to know what it is, right? It's all calculated modify, right? Whatever I do, it's very powerful, but I do it very quickly, right? It's amazing how I do these things. You have no idea what I'm doing, but this is all communication to space. I'm looking at you, but it's communication to space. So it's shapes, anomalies, letters, numbers, all calculation modifications, intertidal line conditions, right? To position the time, location. Powerful stuff how we do these things, right? So it's incredible force, and this is what we have to learn, right? Because sometimes if your phone goes out, how are you going to communicate with anything, right? So use your hands, right? If you need help, use your hands. Communicate with the answers. I guarantee it will help you out because now you communicate inside your system. If you don't have a phone and you're stranded, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you don't have your phone? If you're in your lights, you can use your hands. Now, don't think it's stupid because you're connecting to higher positions of intelligence and they communicate inside and say, oh, okay. Gas station, boom, bang, there you go, help. It's the connection, guys. It's the connection. And this is how it affects everything through your life and how you bring yourself going forward. If you're in the connections of stopping positions, your detour positions, you're coming across people. So it's all about putting that, in that line system. Right? Especially when you're going forward, right? When you're going forward in life, like this, you don't want to be in positions like this, going forward. That's way too much information to understand. So you're confusing everything, right? You're trying to go forward, you go around, but then you come across another distraction, and then you come across another distraction. How many distractions do you want to come across? Right? Because the physical element wants to keep going to the past. So the integration cycle to position a time location, anything through interference, through yin and yang, is the physical and the spiritual have to understand each other through communication, which countermeasures, and you will not fall off that boat. And that boat will keep going forward. Yes, you'll get rocky, right? But use that as a psychological of a game. Put yourself in that position. How to bring yourself going forward in that connection. Right? That's what you want to look at. So Keep losing service on my phone. My daughter was just visiting me before work, so I have to watch what I missed. That's okay. You watch back. That's okay. Still working on letting go, not being triggered by past traumas. But see, that's the thing, Jennifer. You have to let go of your past traumas, right? If you don't let go of your past traumas, there's a big integration problem there with the spiritual system. The spiritual system wants to go forward, so it keeps coming back to you and communicating, right? So this is the physical, right? And the intelligence is trying to wake you up, right? And all of a sudden, it does something. So it's getting a little bit more firmer with you. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, right? See? So it's a little bit better now. It's better communication, better communication, better communication. Your whole life is communication. That's all life is. It's all about communication. That's the quality of life. That's the meaning of life. Communicating with your physical and your spiritual. That's how you get things. And that's how you balance things out. So if you're on an off-road and you don't have your phone, use your fingers. Or meditate. Use your chakra system. Get into meditation. You don't have to close your eyes. Just say, I need help. So if you're in your light, you know how to use the connections to angels and archangels. If you're in your light, you don't know how to connect to the angels and archangels. See, you got to look at these things. You got a way of seeing these things where you have to come into a different reality of change. I say, yes, I like to connect with Archangel Michael. I need some help. I'm lost right now. I don't know what to do. I don't have my phone. Please give me some assistance. Done. Right? Comes to you. Energy goes inside. Oh, there's somebody walking over there. Boom. Right? Go up to them. Right? Somebody has coming across a car. This is where you have to come in to ask and receive, because you're in the light and they see you through light. So they're going to understand you more and more. And we have to get into that research and how these things happen. Not all the time, but you have to understand, if you don't have your phone, what are you going to do? And you're by yourself. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So you're going to ask and receive, right? Or you're going to walk miles ahead and be so tired, and now you're hungry. What are you going to do? So basically, you can say anything, because it's all about your life, trying to understand and proceed, trying to understand this connection. Well, I'm really hungry. I need to eat something. Can you help me with that situation? Food will come to you. This is how we have to see things now, because it's connecting. It's connecting. You're connecting with the spiritual system. You're connecting with the universe. They want to help you in all ways and forms, right? So don't ever think that, you're in a situation. Don't ever think, if I have to talk to myself inside, that I'm stupid. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to talk inside. People are going to help me out. Well, how are people going to help you out if you don't ask? So people don't want to cross that because they get too much pride. I say, well, forget the pride. You're by yourself. You have no phone. You're hungry. And then it starts to rain. Now what are you going to do? No phone. You're hungry. Don't know where to go. Now it's raining. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Right? So you have to get into survival. You have to get into light. You have to get into communications, because the angels and archangels are waiting for you. They will not come to you unless you ask. But it's how you ask, and it has to come from the heart. You understand? This is the biggest thing I can give you when it comes to anything when you come into trouble. And that's where they come to you, through emergencies. And basically you just say, wow, that's beautiful. Thank you. Because there have been times where it does happen and they come to you. They are there for you, but you have to ask and receive. And that's how you get things in return. And then you realize, wow, half an hour later, I'm no longer in the rain. Half an hour later, I have another phone. Half an hour later, I'm eating. There you go. You just got yourself out of the situation, right? Without being stressed. Confidence, control, power, and being calm is what you need to do when you're in situations like that. Okay? So coming from your first commander, you kind of already know these things, but you're not aware, because you're probably thinking, oh, this will never happen to me. But don't ever think that. But see, the thing is, you have to be cautious on what you do with your wording, because if you say that, it will happen. So whatever you do, whatever you say will happen because you're in light. So it's all about understanding that there's light and there's dark lights. You're connecting both, right? So you understand. So that's what I'm saying. If I say it's going to rain, it's going to rain because I'm extremely high rise, right? If I say that I'm going to get caught in the winds or I'm going to fall down, that's what's going to happen because I'm creating it. You understand? So you have to be cautious in what you say because you're creating it through your reality. So these are the stepping stones that you have to look at. Your thoughts are everything through creation, but you have to understand it's a magnetic force that you're creating through your thoughts of travel of space. So these are the things we have to look at. Okay? So it is amazing, yeah. Indy, RV, how's it going? Skylar, hey. Yes, great. Indy RV, yeah, great. It's good to see new people, especially coming into the activation center positions of time. Oh, it's very powerful when we come into these. So basically, this is a very powerful message. A little bit more review how we come into the higher self, how important it is when you get into situations ASAP, you ask and you shall receive. All right. So when you come into light, you understand more. It will come to you because you know how to communicate through codes, through your hands. So if I'm in trouble, I use my hands very fast. XT1000 comes to me, right? Because I'm in that position of time, space. You guys are in a different space and time. So it's understanding that I'm a commanding force. That's the balance. That's the control. Okay. So, and then it becomes into everything through respect. They respect you, you respect them. Okay. But everything that you want has to come from the heart. You can't get things being angry. It doesn't work that way, guys. You're confusing everything through its elements. You're confusing the atmosphere. You're confusing nature. You're confusing your alignments. Get into the calm center, especially when you're in these situations by yourself with no phone. Okay? Or you get a flat tire, right? Flat tire, you do it yourself, right? What if it's dark? What if it's dark and you have no tire? What are you going to do? So these are the things you have to look at. These are the stepping stones. These are the detours. You have to figure out how to get out of situations yourself in your physical system. But you have to understand the communication to your intelligence. So the physical and the intelligence has to understand its integration and cycle to its communication. That's the balance when it comes into countermeasures. You won't be rocking the boat anymore. You'll be understanding how to communicate with each other. So there's the communication. You got the left and the right hemisphere in balance now, and there's always something coming at you. Somebody is always going to come in your way. Say, oh, wow. Like I said, gas station. Oh, wow. Somebody with food. Oh, wow. Somebody with a phone. Right? This is what we have to look at. This is your life. And this is how you get these things through manifestation. People question themselves. They question their values. Oh, why did I get this? Why did I get this? For a perfect example, I was in Toronto. I was looking for jobs, going in between auditions and all that, right? And I was short on cash. So I asked for $20, right? I just said, oh, listen, I'd like to have $20. I'm really out of cash right now, blah, blah, blah. So you're talking to yourself, and all of a sudden, walking down the road, before I get to the audition, $20 on the ground. Manifestation. So everything can happen to you in manifestation, but you have to believe it to see it. Believing you need help is seeing, which is the observation. Okay, that's where it comes into its true reality of its division of time, of space. So now you're creating these things through the physical system. Okay, like the one with TikTok with the UFO coming out 3 minutes, and also doing, making the sky go away, right? Making it disappear, taking out the gray clouds, putting in dimensional time position to open up a portal location, or shedding the new light positions into shapes anomaly. These are the things that you have to understand. I'm in a different space of time. You're in a different space of time, but we're all aligned through each other through my telepathy. And that's the power. Okay. That's the connection. So let's just say you're friends with each other and you're pretty close by. You can use mind telepathy to each other, right? If you have that willpower. It's very hard to do these things if you don't open the mind, and you have to be calm. Can't be in anxiety because you're going through connections of atmospheres. Basically, you're destroying your mechanism inside. The more you get angry, what happens? It changes everything in your community, right? So if you get angry more and more and more, it's going to rain more and more and more, right? So it goes to the opposite cycle. So instead of going forward, you're going to go back with its observation, right? These are the things that you have to understand how life works. It works on a seesaw. It's all about balancing, right? You don't want to be too high. You don't want to be too low. You want to be right here, okay? That's what you got to base your life on. Ask and you shall receive. It's just knowing how to do these things, especially when you're in light, right? Now, if you're not in light, that's okay. Angels and archangels will come to you either way, but you have to understand to put yourself in the calm center will give you everything that you need, right? Because basically you're frustrating the arguments. Everything that you do through connections, if you're getting angry, more, aggressive people are going to come into your cycle. Okay, it's hard to understand these things, but space and time is funny because you're putting your positions into negative and positive cycles of space and time position, right? So if you create negative, you're going to get negative people. You create positive, you're going to get positive people. That's how it works with the universal system of operation. It's not that complicated, but you have to understand the integrations to your spiritual and your physical system of balance. That's the only way you can understand life. Okay, and everything through its alignment. Okay, and then you get more enjoyment. You get a lot more enjoyment on what you're doing. It's wow, I just got out of a situation. This is powerful stuff, right? You move forward, right? And that's what life is. Life has its detours. Life has its complications, but you can get out of them if you know how, especially if you don't have a phone, right? So you have to find a way to get out of these situations. Because if you're attached too much to a phone, there's a huge problem here, right? You have to find a way to create it through the mind. So it's all about protecting yourself more. Okay. The earth is changing. The earth core is changing. We're coming into the arc line connections, right? We're coming into positions. We're coming into mind telepathy of communication to humanity, a new species level. Okay, you guys have to get into better communication. And that's what I do with my telepathy as I give you what you need to know. Okay, because you work on different levels, right? Different platforms, different programs of vibration. Okay, so it's trying to understand what you're doing through the proactive cycle of its communication, right? Interchange, interlock, any position of time. So when you're looking at the atmosphere, look at it, it's beautiful out. You know, you're putting positive energy inside you. Right? Because if you're not positive inside, the atmosphere will not be positive outside. Okay? Because you're changing yourself inside, you're changing the atmosphere outside. And it affects energy. Energy travels. So let's say you get angry. You've had a bad day, and it's just the beginning. All of a sudden, you go outside, you got an aggression of people that are going to attack you because you change the fluctuation of the atmosphere. You understand? That's how powerful we are, especially when you come into the light. That's why you have to hold the light, right? You have to hold the light inside you. And if you don't know how to do that, there's a problem, okay? Because they see you through light. They don't understand the light, but they see you're glowing, right? So when the higher you go, the more they won't touch you because now you're protecting yourself through energy field. You have an energy field and they can't basically see you. You come invisible. I've walked in buildings since security and all that, and they don't see me. And I had to have a security name tag to get in. I walked right in, no problem. These are the things I can do, right? But it's all about control. And the thing is, you can't be scared of these things. You can't be fear of this, fear of that. You got to get into that full balance and how powerful you are when you come into the angelics, king of the angelics, Archangel Michael, you know, or anything in that position. They are there for you every single day of your life. They're there to help you so you can understand, to get into more creations and how you can use this through your mind. The mind is the adaptation of creation. So when you get in situations, it's knowing how to get in and out of the situations without using the brain. The brain, okay, it's not connected to the mind. Okay, the mind is basically itself through connections when it comes into spiritual line connections, right? It has its integration, has its balance and its base, but the brain has to understand the mind has to stand in the brain through the connections, right? Or there's going to be separation, right? Because the base of the brain is here, right? It's there. So that's the navigation. So the higher self and everything through the spiritual realm connections and everything through the mind and the brain and the heart and the body have to follow you, right? They have to follow through connection when it comes into thoughts. So your thoughts are always going forward in time, right? Especially when you manifest things. And that's why there's millionaires and billionaires, because they're always creating. So they keep going down that road, which is going forward. They may look back, but they keep going forward, right? So there's a lot of people. Interpretation through the mind of creation, through its tool set. Understand what your thoughts are through division of time. You want to be sick, you'll be sick just because you're creating it. That's how powerful, because you're upsetting your system inside. You're upsetting, you're overloading your vibrations inside. You're creating a cyst. You're creating a crust of them. You're creating a copy and paste of destruction. You're doing a lot of things that's inside you that's destroying everything. So you destroy your inside, you're destroying the outside, because it affects everything through energy. Because energy is manipulation, inside and out. Okay? So, and you come across these things. You really do. You know? It's important to understand these things, and you want to follow up that, and you want to have friendship and relationships, especially when you come into the interchange positions of fire, air, water, and earth. When you come in against fire, water, air, and earth. These are the 4 elements you look at: 5 within the system, 6 from the activation, and 7 within the rotation of the center of its body system. And then you come into the 5 atmospheres. Okay. So, and that's why you have 12 chakras. Now I'm going to go step by step here, but let's just get into the basic when you come into the integration. So I'm going to keep doing reviews until you understand more of the program and why you're in position of change. So you can understand more of your thoughts and how you're creating things through your thought of recognition of time, space, especially when you come into all those levels, right? So Jennifer helped me with the triggers. Come when I stop mental dialogue, tape, visualize. Wanted instead, reptilian was a key. Who I see, think you're going to come in more into balanced location. You create constancy, period. If you don't, the results fine tune. They articulate specific desire to create what you want. Yeah, right. I realize when a trigger happens, they are not in the reality now. But see, that's the thing. You create the past, present, and future. Whatever you do, through creation of thought, you are connecting to it through energy. So you're doing a lasso. Woohoo! Here goes the past. You're bringing somebody in into your circle. Why do you want to do that? You're trying to move forward and you're bringing people from the past. Don't do that. Say goodbye. People that you don't want. That's confliction. That's notification interference, right? Same with your phone reception. If you don't understand your phone, right? You have to be calm. Calming is the center of everything, right? So it's all about understanding. Yes, I get in positions where I am in that time, but I never go into the past, especially with me, because whatever I create, I get, especially when I'm in connections of 9,000 years in the future. So my thoughts are extremely powerful because it affects everything in 2021. So I have to be cautious in what I say because I'm manifesting it just through my mind. That's the creation. So we have to go beyond the recognition of belief, go beyond the recognition of seeing, and go beyond the recognition of observation. Those are the 3 we look at, right? So to its perception. Exactly, yeah. That's how you know progress because I don't let them in anymore. Right now, that's what you don't want to do, especially if you're trying to move forward and you have a new boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, and somebody comes in. So that's the disruption of the cycle, right? So you're changing your cycle. Which one do you want to go? You want to go back in the past, or do you want to move on with the future? Right? It's all psychological. That's all it is. It's a cycles of you, how you're connected to your cycle. You have a life cycle, okay? And that life cycle is either bringing you forward or it's bringing you back, okay? So crazy that this is the topic I just got out of meditation, and this is what I was working on. I got into clearer communication with my higher self during a deeper meditation. That's great. See, you guys understand more of yourself, and that's why I want to keep doing reviews on what the higher self is. You're going to find that a lot on TikTok, where you have to get into not just the meditation. Meditation is basically just opening your mind. The conception through the connection position is manifesting through your thoughts of recognition of time when it comes into the physical system. The physical has to fully. The spiritual system is your future. The physical system is its past. So the physical has to catch up to the presence to its spiritual system, which is the here and now. Okay? So if the physical system is in the past and you have a spiritual system that's in the future, you got to find a way to bring the physical to the present. And when it comes into the present, it communicates, right? And then integrate. And then you go into the future. That's a process. These are the things you have to catch up to, right? Because the mind conceptual line connection is trying to understand you through thought patterns. If it doesn't understand your program setting, huge problem, right? So you don't want to bring anything in the past, okay? Because the future element of you through your higher self is going to say, what are you doing, right? So it's all the ego trip. It's an ego trip. That's all it is, right? Because the ego and everything through that connection is going to interfere with you every single day of your life. Your life contains on this through fear, stress, anxiety, depression, medication, anything can change. You just have to allow yourself to change. And it's all about believe, right? Believe. It's the biggest thing. Believing is seeing through observation. And you see everything through perception. So you're creating something, and you're leaving the past cycle, and now you're in the present positions. The physical is caught up, and the spiritual comes into the center. Whoa, yin and yang. There you go. There's the balance, right? Goes faster, 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 faster. And then you travel so fast. Now you're going through all levels of simultaneously, all divisions of travel. It's a process. It's a process, and we're going to do this every single day so you guys get into more of understanding what meditation really is. Okay, and then you'll find the purity of life. Okay, and then you find the perimeters, and then you find the barriers, and then you find, wow, this is incredible. I'm getting balance every day, right? And it's already created, right? So if you're trying to create something, that's okay. That's good. That's a good start. So you have to get more into the mind. Okay, the spiritual system is the mind. How about that? The physical system is its education, that you're living its element. So you're educating yourself, and your full education, you're going down the road and you're doing this and you're doing that. That's great. That's the physical system, but the spiritual system, it's the future. That's your future. So it has to find a way to integrate you through balance. Okay. So the mind conceptual is the thought position of your higher self. It's just a higher channel of information, because the quantum fields and vibrations are so many high levels. Once you go across that, you can go space and time dimensions. When I started out, I was going through transformation, like I said, but when I start seeing things and they come to life, and I see realms and dimensions and portals and activation of the codes and orbs and all this, and pixies, and it's just crazy what I see, because it's real, because I'm in the spiritual system fully and completely. So I'm with the physical, okay, of its element, not its education. It's who I am inside. That's the involvement of its position of space and time through travel. And that's how I get things through manifestation. Okay? That's how I stop worrying about things. Don't concentrate outside, concentrate inside. Okay? So, yeah. I helped her clarify the internal communication, and that's the hardest thing to do. Yeah, once you get balanced with that, it's easier. So it's true, Commander. Thanks. Well, I'm glad I can help you out. I want to do that a little bit more. Like I said, it's all about getting that process, getting that upgrade, getting that manifestation, getting that integration, getting into the mutations of yourself, the metamorphosing of, whoa, what's happening? I'm changing, right? Your eyes change. Everything changes. You come into a whole different person. But see, there's no separation. You just think there's a separation. It's just you. It's just a higher channel of you, a vibration, a color, and light. That's all it is. It's you. There's no separation. You think there's a separation because you're in two different realities. And that's the paradox. That's the trap. That's the matrix. Okay? So you have to find the countermeasure with that. Yeah, you're all connecting, yeah. And you feel it too more and more, especially when you're in my school. Oh, well, thank you there, Diane. I'm trying to help everybody out. I'm getting so many emails. It's crazy because when you're going into the light, and say like I got a dimensional hiccup, or I got a vortex location that's locked in division through shape, and because I know what it is through time position where you are through pixels and all that, right? So they come to me and says, well, I don't feel so good. I feel sick all of a sudden. I'm dimensioning time, doing circle rotations. So you're connecting through your intelligence through me, so I understand a little bit more. But if you come to me and I say, well, I'm spinning, well, you got to say, why are you spinning? Why are you spinning? What is spinning to you through intelligence? So if you come to me and say, I'm spinning around, that's the physical. But I know it's the intelligence. So these are the things where you have to countermeasure your system, right? So you're not connecting to the physical, you're connecting to intelligence, or you're connecting to intelligence, you're connecting to the physical. There's either or here, right? So you have to find the connection between the two, right? So when you find that, it's incredible because now you're connecting to intelligence of going forward, right? Because you already live the existence. It's just understanding the physical has to understand the future of its existence. So, and that's why it's very real, because your whole reality has changed. And now you're coming into a virtual reality of a simulation. So the physical system has to understand adaptation of its intelligence and see it for what it is, which is you. It's the future of you. And when you catch up with that, everything starts making sense. Everything starts making sense. And you just keep going forward and forward and forward and forward. So everything through detour or anything you come across, you'll be able to go around a lot quicker. There'll be no separation of the line signals, right? Or anything through graphing positions of time location, right? So if you come across this, it's all about channeling, right? This is what you want to do. Or do you want to do this? Which one do you follow? This? Okay? Or do you follow this? Which one do you follow? Which line do you follow? Right? Now it's a little bit curvy, but that's okay. At least you're going around, right? But see the difference in separation of your life? This is your stream. This is your yin and yang. You go in here, you stop. Oh, big stop there. How do you go from here to here? How do you go from here to here if you're detached? You're separated, right? And then you decide to do this. You're here. How do you get back to here? Psychological. So you want to do this. Go straight up. If you do this, okay, it's okay. I'm doing pretty good here. Oh, wait, it dropped. How do I go from here back up to here? So it's how you go through travel. How many times do you want to stop at a stop sign? Right? So what do you do at a stop sign? You make a red light, you go turn right, or you stop, depending on what it is, a four-way stop, okay? So trying to understand the travels when you're going in your car. Well, you do the same thing with your life when you're traveling through your higher self, because your higher self is trying to understand you through travel. And when you start seeing yourselves, you don't go through this anymore. You go straight up. Okay? And then when you get better and better, You go to higher divisions, they're just going straight up to positions of time, right? So you keep doing this, and that's what you want. See, no space, no separation, straight up. So that's how you got to look at life going forward, rather than looking at separation, right? Because you can't travel through this. You can't travel through this. It's too confusing, right? To its intelligence. It's got to be this. So these are the understanding the alignments. This is singularity, line division through line system. So it's complicated stuff, but we won't go there. But trying to understand you are a grappling position of time to understand your life system to its intelligence. So moving through the weird thing, yep. I'm definitely in forward pattern. It seems that like everyone is falling away from me. And see, that's the thing. When you start moving forward more and more to the presence, everything in the past will just disintegrate, but you'll stay in its alignment of its reflection. And it's a beautiful thing because you can go into the past. Oh, remember this? We did this last summer. We were at the park and we had this so much fun. We had some ice creams and all that. That's a memory. So everything in the past will just become a memory, but you come back into the center. Understand? You don't stay in the past of what you just did through memory retention. That's memory loss, right? So you lose the memory and you go back into the presence of its future. You can't manifest things in the past because it's just a memory. Okay? Thoughts of position of space and time have to be the presence. That's the manifestation. Okay? Because if you go in the past, what happens? You're creating something else. You're going through a different timeline. You're going through a different line signal. Okay? And you're going to have full rotations of separation. Right? So this is how you got to perceive. This is how you got to look at life going forward. Target flying, amazing, yeah. Dreams. Mm-hmm. And you get communication with your dreams too. I self-isolate too much for the past 4 to 5 years. I'm looking within. See, and then things come a lot more clear when you go within. The assistance always comes to me when I ask. See, that's what you want. You guys have to be aware of these things. Don't ever feel like, oh, I got to connect to an angel to get what I want. Yeah, what's wrong with that? They're there to help you. See, you're not connecting to your spiritual system. You're just too much aware of your physical system. That's what you got to get out of. You got to get out of that. You got to get into the balance of the spiritual system. So once you understand the alignment of the physical system, you're letting go of the past, okay, of its education. And you're moving into the presence of its intelligence, of its future connection, okay? Hawk, how's it going? Do we ask in our mind or say it out loud? Say it out. It doesn't matter as long as it comes from the mind. See, the brain is the ego. The mind is the creation. The mind is the spiritual. This is where you have to connect. You have to have the balance with both. That's the left and right hemisphere. Okay, so you can't be argumentative on both sides. Okay, you have to be balanced with both. Right? Integration line signals are off through position. What I do through calculation, energize line system, put them on activation core system, activate the shape anomaly, put it back in location. That will change location to the gravity line system. Oh, thank you very much. See, you got balance there, and then you come into integration. So you're communicating. You're trying to find a way to communicate in the mind. So you have to get into the mind because you already have the brain. The brain understands, but it doesn't understand the mind until the mind understands the brain. Right? So you're going to go back and forth like this. Okay? And you're not just going to go off the boat. You're going to drown. Right? So every time you're trying to surface up, you're suffocating. So that when you're trying to reach the top, what happens? You're out of breath. Now, what are you doing to yourself? You almost drowned. Right? You don't want to do that. You want to get balance with the brain and the mind. So you got to get in communication. Right? To its position. So it's powerful stuff. And that's what my Earth School provides, to get into the mind. You already have the brain set. It's there. It's there. It's already there. But you're in a different existence of time, of vibration to space. Your thoughts and your position is this connection to the mind. That's the imagination. To what you want through mastering communication. You got to get into the mind. That's all it is. The brain's always going to be there, right? It's the consumption of the connections to the ego that gets out and tries to interfere with the mind of its creation. That's the disruption. Because the ego can jump over to the mind, right? And the mind is saying no, and the brain is saying yes. So you're fighting against each other. It's like, that's all you're doing. You're fighting. Powerful, isn't it? When you fight with the mind and the brain, they will fight together. It's in the spiritual system. That's how I know these things, because that's what I do through my healing. I break you guys up. Right? So I break you up, right? So you got to find a way to communicate back with each other. Get into the flow. Get into the brain. Get into the mind. The brain will always be there. The brain doesn't leave. The brain has to understand the mind of its tool, of its information through space and time, of its thoughts. So the mind is its creation. So the spiritual element, okay, knows what it's doing. The brain has to understand the psychological system of the mind, of its creation. Okay? Then there's no more complicado, no more problema. Right? I had to figure this out myself. I started questioning myself over and over and over and over. Who am I communicating with? Is it the mind or is it the brain? Is it the brain? Is it the mind? What's going on here? Why is the ego there? Has the ego left? Where is it? Right? So the ego never leaves. You just have to understand it's always going to disrupt you through the mind. The mind is a total separation. You can't see it. You don't know what it is until you understand your intelligence. And then once you see the intelligence, then you actually see the actual figure of you, which is extremely powerful. Okay? So you have the physical system that's on the gravity line conditions, which is 5D, but you have the spiritual system up here. Okay? And it's looking at you. And I say, okay, well, what happens now? Right? So you have to get into the balance of the spiritual, of its alignment. Full communication, mind telepathy. So that's the integration. And then you come together. And then you go together. Wherever you go, past, present, future, together. That's the yin and yang. Okay, that's illumination lights. That's the connection when you come to the attachments, right? These things, it's a process. I know it's hard. You have to get out of the brain and get into the mind. That I'll keep saying that over and over and over and over and over. So if you're asking and receiving, okay, you have to communicate through the mind. And that's mind telepathy, mind over matter. Okay, and that's how you reach anything. But it's got to come from the heart, right? So once you get balanced with the brain will settle and communicate through the mind, right? And you won't be able to fight anymore. So well, you realize what you're fighting about. What are you fighting about? You don't want to fight with the ego. You want to balance the ego, right? Then there's no more stress. Then there's no more fear. Then there's no more anxiety. Then there's no more depression. Look at what was I fighting about? This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I don't need to fight with this anymore. I want to go forward in life. And the ego will start to change. Now you're facing the fear of its abyss. And now it's coming to life. So when you balance the ego comes into light. Okay? It comes into light. And this is all done through shadow work. Okay, you already know what that is, right? It's all about the psychological bringing yourself forward through condition of time position. So these are the things we have to look at, right? So verbalize depending on my situation, because everything inside you is vibration. So once you manifest things inside, that's how you get everything outside. It's the basic. I find it hard as I seem to have mood swings suddenly. Well, that's going up and down through fluctuation. So your interlining condition, your disruption, your wiring system. Remember I was telling you about the wire? If it's tied in a knot, you have to understand how to communicate with this and communicate with this, because this is different intelligence. Even though it's the same hand formation, it's different intelligence. Because one's going this way and one's going that way. That's the communication. You can't go the same way because you're going to twirl it up. One's going to go this way, one's going to go the other way. That's the communication. You understand? That's how you communicate with the left or the right hand, or left, right hand or left. So you have to stand full communication with your hands. How to get out of a knot. Basic, guys. Basic. It's communication with hands. And it's all done through the mind of the brain. The brain has its adaptation of the mind. How to get out of situations. If you get flustered and all that, what are you doing? What are you doing to yourself? Then you get sweaty, right? Then you get into reactions, right? These are the things you have to, and everything that you do has to be calm. Calm. Calm is meditation. Meditation is a way of bringing your life through a journey to a manifestation, to its creation, to its imagination, to its illustration, right? So this is what you have to look at. It's the mind that you have to create. The brain's there, but the brain is not the mind. See, the mind is separate until it's together. You understand? That's the paradox. The physical doesn't understand anything of this spiritual, so it's going to stay separated. So the spiritual is always going to try to communicate with the physical. See? Communication. So, off the subject, but the escarpment, backyard ideas, how you can connect with it. Seems like a good opportunity. Try to communicate with anything. Try to communicate with nature. Try to communicate with your house. Put your hand against the wall. Try to understand the feelings of the wall. It's electricity, but it has emotion. It has a soul. Okay, everything around you has a soul. Doesn't have to be a human. It could just be anything through electronic. It has to have a connection to you, to your spiritual system. The physical system doesn't understand these things. That's the disruption, especially when you come into your phones. So I feel like I'm understanding you better. Great. That's good. Especially yesterday, Diane, when you're doing communications through mind telepathy with Jennifer, which is really good. Those straight lines just automatically make me feel good. See, there you go. That is one you just described. You should do an online Zoom with groups of people. Yep, I'm going into that. Yep, I'll be doing that next. Very good. That's the program I'll be doing next. Yeah. Well, it's good because it's a good start. But when you go Zoom and then you see each other through reaction, I've done it before with the Galactic Force team where we all got together, right? So it's important we get into action and reactions and see everybody, right, through the positions and time and how they're feeling, especially when you see people, because you get a really good observation of what's going on with their system and their energies. Where are they in space and time through their thoughts? So it's all about coming back together, right? So it's all about staying in this program so we can understand more of ourselves through balance, right? So, but any more questions or comments? If you want to understand more, you can go through my healing, help you out in that guidance. We're going to get into that, right? I'll set up that program for you guys. Okay. So I'm going to head over to TikTok, right, for a bit. And then I'm going to basically, that will be the rest of the day because, you know, it's Sunday. I usually don't go this long, but I think it was important to get that out, especially everything I give to you, okay, is through the heart. Now, I know where I am in space and time through balance. You have to find that position of time, but you have to use the mind. That's the creation. It's not the brain, it's the mind. The mind is very hard to adapt because you have to understand you're connected to space, okay, and time. So we have to come into the balance of the brain. And that's the problem. Problema is because there's a lot of people that are in paradox and they're not understanding what dimension of time is, right? Because they're too much in the physical element. You got to get into the connections of the mind, right? Just open up the mind. Just open the mind. What do you want to see? What do you basically create it? Just create something. There's a tree right now. There's swings on a tree. Now there's an ocean. You're creating things, creating things, creating things, creating things, creating things. Now, if you create something and you want something to happen, it can happen. But it's got to be done through the mind. That's the bounce through the brain, right? So these are the things you have to look at. You draw it out, okay? And then you create it, okay? You draw it out and then you create it, right? What am I doing with my fingers? What am I doing? This is all communication to space. You don't know what I'm doing, but I'm creating because it's already created. I'm just presenting it back to you, to its present location of its past. So it's very powerful when we come into this time, right? Okay. Adios.